Everybody, and welcome to Plains TV's live broadcast from Duxford, the IWM Flying Days. I'm calling it Flying Dads. It's the Thank You Dads flying display, it being Father's Day of course, and this being an IWM Flying Day. The grumbling you can hear in the background is a fire engine just getting into position, and I can see the FCC wandering out as well, ready for a bit of flying action this afternoon. It is a little bit grey. We had a little bit of sunshine about an hour ago, and things were looking like they were improving. Winds are low. It is a bit grey, a bit murky, but we are anticipating a good flying display this afternoon. Despite that, a little bit of low cloud, which may affect. Someone's just said Spitfire Mark 1 may not fly due to that, and P40 as well. But we are anticipating some flying aeroplanes. Let me just bring those up. So P40 was due to kick off. It's not looking like that will be the case. Due to start flying at 1:20. Something may be brought forward. We will find out together in a little while. Following the P40, we have the Catalina. You see that on my camera. I don't see an issue with. I suppose I don't know what cloud level we're looking at here, but sent the Harvard off a little while ago, and he was dipping in and out of cloud, seeing how things were, and just people being cautious, I think, which is no bad thing, is it, on a day like today. After the Catalina, we'll have the Yale and Harvard. They are listed here as separate flying displays. Who knows? Maybe we'll get them rattling off the grass together. We'll see. Ian, yes. I'm live at the moment, just warning, but we can have a chat. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, all right. Yeah, Chipmunk's cancelled as well. That's useful. Thank you so much. So dropping like flies at the moment, but do stay tuned. We will get a flying display this afternoon, I'm sure. Someone's going to give it a whirl. And the Chipmunks were to follow the Yale and Harvard. They were due to fly with the Rapide. Perhaps we'll get the Rapide. And then at the end of the show, we're looking at Hurricane and Spitfire, but Phil's just informed me that Spitfire's looking like it's cancelled as well. We're going to have an interesting afternoon. I'm starting to wish that I'd dragged together a few more clips of older shows that I could present to you to Phil. We do have a few though. I'll say we've been here for a couple of days actually. Andrew and I. Andrew being a new member of the team who, if he enjoys today, perhaps we'll have along again to other shows. He's been doing a fabulous job with me. He's been doing a fabulous job. I've been getting in the way. We've been setting cameras up and setting up for the live yesterday. And the reason we were here yesterday was there was a British Model Flying Association, BMFA event with some model aircraft. A lovely afternoon it was too. Some spectacular sights in slightly great conditions again, but low winds, and it was okay for the models to fly. And I've selected a few clips of the bits of the models where I managed to point the camera in the general direction of them, so that you can enjoy what was happening here yesterday. So let's have a look at that while we figure out what's going on today. These were the models flying at the BMFA event yesterday.
And that's not counting the many hundreds of man-hours it takes to put these together. If you want to understand how difficult some of these manoeuvres are, orientation-wise, wander over to the BMFA stand, have a look at it, flight simulator. It's great fun, especially when you know that you can't break the aircraft. You lose control of it. And much like phones, all the systems that use these radios, once the model and the radio transmitter are locked together, There's very little chance of radio interference. As you can see, Bob's just displaying there the slow high alpha flying of the model. Here's looking at all the rules and regulations that govern this, not only here but abroad as well. And here's flying a half-scale Tiger Moth glider truck, and as you can see, closely followed by a glider.
Does it look alright? Let's wish him.
This is a practice art and a practice skill glider truck. We all do some of our off the do sometimes, not all as good as John, I'm afraid. The wingspan on the Tiger Moth is 4.47 metres, 14 foot 8, as I say, half scale. It weighs 55 kilos, and the engine is a 350cc modified Westlake twin to tow the glider into the air. Two more of which you'll see if you go to hangar 2 on static display. John has 2 more of his gliders in there. Nice wing over. As the Falcon stooges about nicely above. Very slow rate of descent, even on a day like today. And showing off now, he's got smoke on board too. It's Tiger Moth style loop. As I said, and I thought there, Tony puts it almost to his feet. Both of these aircraft well worth a look over on the flight line. That'll be John side slipping the Tiger Moth, that means he'll be landing immediately. And there he is, down nicely again to his feet. Thank you, John. Thank you, Tony.
Some wonderful models there yesterday, and my favourite being that half-scale Tiger Moth, and not just on its own, but dragging up the scale glider as well. Really wonderful sight, and some of those bow bays with all the warbird models were quite reminiscent of the Spitfire tail chases and the likes that we've seen here at Duxford in the past. Really quite spectacular and requiring no doubt lots of skill to avoid any unfortunate incidents of model getting a bit too close. I can hear the tractor bubbling away over there by the Catalina, which indicates probably we're looking like bringing the Catalina forward perhaps for the flying to start at 1:20. So looking forward to that. We'll try and keep a little image in the corner of what's going on here live at the airfield as we build up toward the flying starting. But I've got a couple more clips to show you from our archive. So this weekend it's Father's Day, and that suddenly realised that Father's Days in the past we'll have been at Kemble at the Cotswold Air Show, as was the case 10 years ago for the Cotswold Air Show 2011. Doing that, if I've got the maths right. And I was digging through that programme, and in fact I've popped it on our on-demand service at watch.plainstv.com. That's now available to subscribers of that service as of Friday. And I've dug a clip out from that, relevant to the model displays we were seeing yesterday. We had a couple of model flying displays at Cotswold Air Show in 2011, and the first one being models of the Aerosuperbatics biplanes, who were sponsored by Breitling at the time, complete with animatronic wing walkers, and then followed by a Hunter, a wonderful aircraft that we've seen a lot of at Kemble over the years. Let's take a look at those model flying displays at the Cotswold Air Show in 2011.
In line with tradition, the Cotswold Air Show starts with a display from some fantastic model aircraft, and this year we were treated to a fantastic Breitling model with minicam on board, and of course a Hawker Hunter.
I was going to say, Andy, that these are not the real Breitlings, but of course they are the real Breitlings. They're just a smaller version.
They're just smaller, but still perfectly formed.
Perfectly real.
Perfectly real. Frighteningly real, especially the mini-me's on the top wing.
They're actually waving and waggling their legs, are they?
In formation, yeah. It's synchronised even, I should say. So the aircraft are in formation and the wing walkers are synchronised. And they still can't get over. This was 5,000 hours to build these things. Nearly 7 months.
That's 7 marriages. They've actually got swivelling wing walkers, because when they go inverted, they swivel and they're still waving, which is fantastic. Which is more than I think that the real ones do.
Yes. And the plan is there's 2 more of these aircraft in production, so it's a full ship display. It really takes a certain skill to fly these type of things. It's like driving your car from your lounge.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's not. You think of sitting in an airplane cockpit. Have you ever, any of you that have been flying in an aeroplane, everything's in front of you, and things happen in the correct way. You know, you put the stick to the left, the airplane goes to the left. But this, you've got to continually readjust what's happening to the aeroplane in relation to your controls. Very, very difficult. Very, very skilled flying. And we've tried several of our top pilots, who should be nameless, to try to get them to fly these models, and they were dismal. Well, I think he deserves a round of applause for getting it down in that weather, ladies and gentlemen. That's like, in scale terms, is about trying to land in a hurricane.
Some fabulous models there at Kemble, the Cotswold Airshow in 2011. That full-length programme now available on our on-demand service at watch.planestv.com. That was 10 years ago, Father's Day, 10 years ago. And it is Father's Day. If you haven't got your father a present yet, I may have an offering for you in just a moment. I'm hoping you can hear me okay. We've got the Catalina started up and looking pretty lively, ready for flying to start at 1:20 in just a short while. Yeah, we'll keep you posted via that little image in the corner of what's exactly happening here on site. But just prior to flying starting, I thought we'd have another little clip from the Cotswold Airshow in 2011. Kemble, Cotswold Airshow, Cotswold Airport has long been synonymous with the Hunter. Lots of aircraft based there with Kemble jets in the past. Not aircraft we see out on the circuit anymore, and I thought it would be a nice opportunity to reflect back 10 years ago for the very brightly coloured Misdemeanor flying display, an aircraft flown by Jonathan Whaley, of course. And yeah, let's take a look at that display. An interesting camera vantage point for the takeoff, an aircraft, a camera airside, giving a really dramatic shot of the aircraft as it sort of descends down the bump at Kemble. Lovely shot, I thought. So let's take a look at that. Another clip from our Cotswold Airshow 2011 featuring the Hawk Hunter Misdemeanor.
Our first Hunter of the day in this, the 60th anniversary year of the aircraft. This is Jonathan Whaley in the fantastic and uniquely marked Misdemeanor.
Just before Jonathan goes into his display, it's interesting to note that way back when he first got this aircraft and put the aircraft in this colour scheme, everybody on the air display circuit said, he's never going to get a booking for that. No one is going to book that aircraft. He's at every single air show in Europe. Shut the commentators, all 5 of them, up, so you can listen to this aircraft displaying and doing a wonderful display for us. So I'll shut up again and let's have a listen to this aircraft.
Well, that completes the first Hunter display. Breathtaking and fantastic the way the skies opened for the bright sun shining on the brightest aircraft I think we have here today.
Well, a much missed aeroplane on the display circuit, that misdemeanor, that beautiful scheme, and Hunters in general. So yeah, quite, you know, we don't see them very often anymore, but of course they exist for posterity on the on-demand service in our archive of airshow programmes. I should explain a little bit about that and who we are, why I'm here, whilst we wait for the Catalina to taxi out and begin the flying display here at Duxford. My name's Ian Campbell. Hello, welcome. It's lovely to see so many of you in the chat. Hello to Chris, James, Michael and very many others who are regular viewers, and it is really nice to see people coming back. It's a little vote of confidence hopefully in what we're doing here. And what are we doing? We're live broadcasting an air show. The flying days are not full Duxford air shows. We'll have one of those at the end of July, and stay tuned for news on that later. Hopefully in this stream we're going to grab someone from IWM to talk about that, talk about the 16 for it. I'm Ian, as I say, Planes TV. We've been live broadcasting air shows for about a decade, and we've been producing video programmes about air shows since I were a lad. The business set up when I was about 5 years old by my dad. Happy Father's Day, Dad, if you're tuned in watching this. He is not here today, he normally would be. He's moving out of the house he's been in for 37 years with poor old mum as well. So they're busy this weekend. So we've dragged along Andrew, as I say, new member of the team, who's behind the scenes vision mixing today. And we've got Andy up on the control tower there. He'll be shooting a wide angle view of the flying display. So yeah, a minimum crew I would say this is, although I do have hopes of doing one all on my own at some point. Let's take the Catalina as the aircraft taxis out. So Catalina will take a little while to head over to the western side of the airfield, ready to start the flying display. So yeah, continuing that conversation about who we are, what on earth we're doing. So the reason we're covering a flying day is, which are, you know, we'd normally make a DVD, Blu-ray of a show. Our focus is switching, or my focus is switching to our on-demand service, where you can view our back catalogue of shows. That ties in nicely with my comment earlier about dads and presents. So if you don't have, if you sent, I'm sure you've sent a card to your dad for Father's Day. I managed to sneak one in the post first class Friday. With a bit of luck, he's too busy to notice if it doesn't turn up till Monday. But if you fancy buying your dad a gift and he's into aviation, the on-demand service at planestv.com, rather watch.planestv.com, is a wonderful gift, I think. And this weekend only, I've added in a free DVD as well that you can select. So you can purchase a gift certificate to the on-demand service, giving either 3, 6 or 12 months access to our back catalogue of programmes, and perhaps some other flying action this summer. News on that to come. And you can also select a free DVD for him. Now that DVD will obviously be coming out to you next week, but we're a patient bunch as dads, we don't mind waiting for that. The gift certificate is a digital thing which comes to you via email. After I've finished presenting this and filming the show, I'll be boshing those emails out and setting up subscriptions to people if you felt inclined to make that purchase. So those gift certificates giving access to the on-demand service are available at planestv.com. There is a link in the description of this video as well. Perhaps you yourself are interested in the on-demand service. There is a link to a 7-day free trial in the description as well. So let's have a look at the Catalina. How far is he? still making his way down to the end there. It looks like, yeah, Catalina filling in for P40, which would have been flying now. I'm anticipating Catalina getting into the air a bit before scheduled, just to fill in the space. Then following that, we're expecting to see the Yale and Harvard flying. Then the de Havilland, what would have been a formation. There is someone eyeing up his chipmunk out there. You never know, he might get lucky, but it sounds as though chipmunks have decided that the cloud level is just a little bit too low for them. But perhaps Rapide still intending to fly. And following that, Hurricane and Spitfire. Spitfire deciding better of it today. Again, cloud level a little low. So yes, we are learning together what we're going to enjoy this afternoon. Catalina's turned around and probably doing a few power checks over there. So a little while to go still till we get flying. Perhaps then, since we're holding fire a little while, a couple more clips for you. This is a bit of a curveball for Andrew who's vision mixing, but I've got a couple of in-cockpit clips prepared from, one is from Cotswold Cotswold Air Show in 2011. In fact, you can vote. If you're in the chat, I'm going to hop in the chat on YouTube. So, would you like to see in-cockpit Takano display here at Duxford in 2011, probably at the May show, or would you like to see in-cockpit NF11 Meteor at Cotswold Air Show 2011? Now, this is where I revealed that there's a slight buffer set up on the Vision Mix here, and it'll be a little while before anyone is able to vote. But if you have a preference for either in-cockpit material of the Meteor at the Cotswold Air Show in 2011, the NF11 flown by Dan Griffith, or the Takano display here at Duxford, from the in-cockpit view, both forward-facing, quite nice views, get a good sense of what the pilot's going through in putting on those displays at those air shows. Which of them would you like to see? If guys in the chat over on YouTube want to give a preference, I'll maybe there's like 10 votes or something. I'll make a choice based on that, and hopefully that's enough stalling for Andrew to find the actual clips. Hello Chris, thank you very much. You must stop sending me money on super chats, Chris. I owe you big time. If you are enjoying the broadcast, now is a very good time to give it a like, give it a share on Facebook or whatever social media platform you enjoy using, for other people to join us and join what's going to be an interesting flying display this afternoon. If a little limited by weather, we're still going to have a good time, ladies and gents. It's still worth sticking around for, I'm sure. Roaring engines in a few minutes, Erwin says. That's quite right. Got some roaring engines now. I haven't seen anyone express a preference on the in cockpits. I'm erring toward NF11, I'll be honest with you. Quite interesting to hear the you can hear the sound on board obviously, and you hear the engine note change and sort of throttle adjustments through the display is quite interesting in an old jet like that. Hear them slowly spooling up, coming up to life. Catalina still down the end there. Yeah, nice Yak 52 in the background. Not flying today, but quite nice to have him sat on the grass in front of us there. Takano, please, says Jeff Bridges. Oh, Takano up Duxford, says Parrot. Dragon Rapide also, yeah, is it Cotswold Meteor? Okay, it's fairly evenly balanced, ladies and gents. This is getting tense. Yeah, it's part of the display team. Oh, Takano. That is 3 Takanos to 1 Meteor. That's astonishing. I'd have thought you'd be much more keen on the Meteor. Okay, I'll give it one more. A Meteor, a Takano. That's about 4-2. Meteor, about 4-3. 4 all. Okay, alright. We're going to have to just wait a little bit longer. Silver Trig, nice to see you on the chat. And Michael voting for Meteor. You're on my side there. Yeah, okay, it's all Meteor now. That's interesting. So the quickest typers were Takano, but yeah, and Connor as well saying Meteor and F11. Let's do it, shall we? Let's have a look at the Meteor display from Cotswold Air Show in 2011. This is a program we produced 10 years ago on a nice Father's Day back then. Let's take a look at the Meteor and F11 from the in-cockpit view. Meteor over at the Cotswold Air Show in 2011. It's another aircraft that's much missed on the circuit. I'm afraid that's the way with jets on the UK circuit these days, but maybe things will change in due course. Catalina is now positioned out on the end of the runway to start the flying display. We'll have public address from the Duxford team here, so I can concentrate on filming aeroplanes, which is what I'd probably be a bit more comfortable doing. If you're enjoying what we're doing here today, it's obviously a free broadcast. Do give it a like. Do give it a thumbs up. You can support via stars on Facebook, send some stars our way, and you can pop a super chat for us on YouTube. It offers us a little bit of money, justify coming out here and doing these shows. But the very best thing you can do for if you'd like to support and get yourself obviously access to our back catalogue of shows is sign up to the on-demand service at watch.planestv.com. And as I say, I very much recommend the gift certificate to that service as a purchase this weekend for dads at planestv.com. If you follow the link in the description, you can also choose a free DVD for him. That offer ends when I remember to take it off the website, which with a bit of luck will be about 2 o'clock in the morning when I get home this evening. So head over today to planestv.com or follow the link in the description to the gift certificate, which you can purchase to give your dad access to our on-demand service. So, sounds like the Catalina's running up. I'm going to swing around, grab a camera and enjoy the air show. Talk to you later.
Yeah. What you could do is just Dad, just pop it in the time.
freighter in 1948. It flew photographic reconnaissance missions, surveying the Arctic regions, carrying out search and rescue and flood relief supply flights. It was finally struck off military charge in May 1961 and purchased for civilian work and used for firefighting, pest control, general freight, fuel handling, and photographic and geophysical surveys. Now displaying with its floats down. Now see the floats gradually retracting. After its civilian work post-war in Canada, the Catalina was bought by Plain Sailing Air Displays, and there followed a long period of work on the aircraft to make it ready for the ferry flight to the UK. It arrived at the Imperial War Museum in Duxford in 2004 in its paint scheme at the time, which was bright yellow, red and green. In 2005, it was repainted in its current scheme, which represents a wartime United States Army Air Force Catalina of the 8th Air Force 5th Emergency Rescue Squadron, which was based at Halesworth in Suffolk. The path now with the undercarriage down. Catalina is a well-known, established and hugely popular participant at air displays at the Imperial War Museum Duxford and throughout Europe. And in 2015 it also flew a group of students from Worksop College on a memorable expedition to Greenland. The Catalina is based here at the Imperial War Museum Duxford and is operated by Plain Sailing Air Displays Limited on behalf of Catalina Aircraft Limited. Now the CAT has a very active supporters club, the Catalina Society, who would welcome new members. They've got a blue and white tent in between Sally B, the B-17, I can see them waving now. It's in between Sally B and the control tower. And if you want to find out more about the Catalina and the membership options, just pop along and have a chat. Catalina has finished its display and will now come back to land.
Hi everyone that's gradually joining us. I hope you're enjoying this. We've just had the Catalina display. I'm looking forward to the Yale and Harvard getting airborne. Sounds like now actually. I was anticipating him. Yeah, let's go to that.
Aircraft, the North American Yale, is just one of just 230 built during 1940. Around half of the production of the aircraft were shipped to France, and many of those actually ended up in the hands of the Luftwaffe. May look familiar, very similar to the Harvard, and it is actually a derivative of the Harvard, having been designed after the Harvard Mark I. we'll see a Harvard displaying later, and perhaps to put it in car terms, the Yale would be the basic model and the Harvard deluxe. Yale was one of 30 recovered from a farm in Canada, having served with the Canadian Royal Air Force training pilots during World War II. And the Yale was typically used as an advanced training aircraft. Sold off as scrap, and this one was bought by a chap called Ernie Simmons, and it was recovered from his farm when they were sold off. His aircraft was sold off for auction following his death in 1970. This Yale was fully restored here at Duxford and is the only example in Europe and the second oldest airworthy Yale. It's also the lowest time Yale, having flown only some 230 hours since it was built in 1940. Although the Yale and the Harvard may look very similar, the Yale has fixed undercarriage, and the two aircraft have quite different wings. The Yale has slightly more diameter and a different wing platform than the Harvard. As the only example in Europe, it's a rare sight at any air display. This aircraft is based here at the Imperial War Museum at Duxford. Yale will take the grass to land, and on the harbour runway lined up is the second example. Flying for us today is the advanced trainer of the Air Forces, the Harvard. Rolling now on the hard, the Harvard Mark IV advanced trainer. Very distinctive sound of the 600 horsepower Pratt & Whitney Wasp engine that powers the Harvard, whereas the Yale we saw just now the 600 horsepower, 420 horsepower Wright Whirlwind engine. This Harvard, as I said, is representing the advanced trainer of the Royal Air Force and many other air forces around the world. It's one of around 15,500 that were built between 1935 and 1954. And the Rabbit Squadron patch. And it's one of the last to be built by the Canadian Car Foundry in 1954 as a Model T6J built for the United States Air Force under the Mutual Development Assistance Program. It spent most of its working life training pilots in the Italian Air Force before being restored in 2000. Wacky Wabbit has been based here at the Imperial War Museum Duxford since 2009 and is painted in the camouflage scheme of a former RAF Desert Air Force Mark II Harvard, which was shipped directly from the United States to the Middle East in 1941 on a steamship. During its time in the Middle East, the aircraft represented by the colour scheme saw service, and it is believed that it would have been used for acclimatising fighter and army corporation pilots to desert conditions. Records show that Harvard and the area were also used for conversion and continuation training for pilots onto the Hurricane and Spitfire. I mentioned that the camouflage colour scheme that this aircraft carries was for the RAF Desert Air Force Harvard, and that particular aircraft did have a minor connection with Duxford, as it saw service with 154 Squadron, which was originally based just to the west of RAF Duxford at RAF Valmere before they were deployed to the Middle East. Wacky Wabbit comes from the rabbit squadron patches and nose art that have been added to the camouflage scheme to make the aircraft more distinctive. But it does actually have some meaning, as the rabbit in the Harvard was a wartime patch from the No. 5 British Flying Training School in Florida. And next, we have the de Havilland Dragon Rapide taking off on the grass from the right. The de Havilland Aircraft Company, which was set up September 1920, was staffed by a small group of experts and enthusiasts handpicked from a declining post-World War I industry by the company's founder, Captain Geoffrey de Havilland. They started business in the dilapidated premises of a modest wooden hut of the former Royal Flying Corps training base at Stag Lane Aerodrome, Edgware, North London, and they faced the future with little money, but high expectations and great optimism. Inspired management, initiative, and technical excellence were the key ingredients of the company's success from the beginning. The roll call of de Havilland aircraft includes Tiger Moth, Mosquito, the Comet, Dove, Heron, Trident, Chipmunk, and de Havilland Dragon Rapide. Aircraft capable of carrying 8 passengers and with a single pilot. It was very widely used by airlines all over the world and by the RAF during World War II. Aircraft now carries the regulation wartime colour scheme for civil aircraft, which is the scheme that it had whilst it was operated by Scottish Airways. And note the red, white and blue stripes. At the time it was flying Scottish Airways during the war, it would have its cabin windows whitewashed over to stop the passengers seeing out. One of its regular routes was over the Navy base at Scapa Flow. After the war, during the 1950s, this Rapide was used for joyriding at Heathrow and ended its commercial life by lifting parachutes at Thruxton and Hatley Green. It was ferried to the Imperial War Museum at Duxford in 1975 after it had been completely worn out by all its hard usage, and it's become apparent that it would cost the Duxford Aviation Society more to repair than it was worth. As the Duxford Aviation Society realised that it would cost more to repair than it was worth, it was taken on by father and son, David and Mark Miller, and friends and volunteers, who spent the next 27 years rebuilding it to better than new condition. It flew again in June 2004 and led the official World War II 60th anniversary commemorative flypast over the Mall and Buckingham Palace in July 2005. powered by two Gypsy Queen engines, each engine being 9-litre, 6-cylinder, and with that power the Rapide can almost lift its own weight. So today, with no passengers and fairly light on fuel, in a display it looks very sprightly. It's not flown like this when it's carrying passengers. Rapides have been flying at Duxford since 1978, and since then literally tens of thousands of passengers have flown in them. This aircraft has a nice note of thank you dads, which is the theme of our flying day today, as it was a father and son restoration over 27 years. Still privately owned by David and Mark Miller, and based here at the Imperial War Museum in Duxford. As Mark Miller lands his immaculate Rapide on the grass, we have the Spitfire and Hurricane doing their checks up at the far end, ready to display. Hurricane Mark 12A and the Spitfire Mark 1A.
Just a bit hear Andrew whispering in my ear. 3 is live, that's me. And thank you everyone for joining us today. I hope you're enjoying this flying display. Looking forward to the Spitfire and Hurricane coming in on over the M11 in just a moment. Just a quick reminder to say that if you have enjoyed it, do give it a like and subscribe to us on Facebook, YouTube. Get that the right way around. So you can see some future broadcasts that we will be doing through the summer. And of course there is that Father's Day offer, a gift subscription. Here they go, here they come. I've lifted the level slightly on the GH4.
And the Hurricane was available in greater numbers for its finest hour in the Battle of Britain, where it played a crucial role in the defence of this country, shooting down more enemy aircraft than the Spitfire. Subsequently joined the Royal Canadian Air Force in 1943. Historic Aircraft Collection acquired this Hurricane in 2002, and after undergoing an 18-month extensive program of repairs and maintenance, the Hurricane reappeared in a paint scheme that was worn by a gloss-filled Hurricane flown with 126 Squadron during the siege of the island of Malta. In September 2005, it became the first Hurricane to return to Malta since the Second World War. Together with the Historic Aircraft Collection Spitfire, is part of the Merlin's over Malta project. The 75th anniversary of the Battle of Britain, and with support of the Polish Embassy, the aircraft was painted in the markings of an aircraft of pilot Casimir Bunch of number 303 Polish Squadron. It is now in a scheme which represents the Hurricane flown by Czech pilot Josef František, also of 303 Polish Squadron, from Northolt during the Battle of Britain. František fought with the Czech, Polish and French units before continuing the battle from England. He was the highest scoring RAF foreign pilot during the Battle of Britain, but was sadly killed at the age of 26, probably in a flying accident in 1940. This aircraft is owned by the Historic Aircraft Collection and based here at the Imperial War Museum in Duxford. Spitfire on its first and only operation, led its squadron on a patrol to cover evacuation of our 1986 after strong currents revealed it, more than 45 years after it sank. The wreckage was excavated during the spring of that year, and though largely intact, very few parts could be salvaged. Following the recovery of the aircraft's remains, the Spitfire was acquired in 2000 by Dr. Thomas Kaplan and Simon Marsh. They were dedicated to the restoration of this historic aircraft, and they commissioned historic flying lists to undertake the restoration. It was returned to its former glory and due again in 2014, being generously donated to the Imperial War Museum in 2015 by the Catalina family. It's still based here at the Imperial War Museum at Duxford. Wing rock with a Happy Father's Day from the Spitfire.
Lovely sound to have on a gosh, is it Sunday? My mind's a blur at the moment. Lovely sound of the Spitfire Mark 1 there, bringing to a close the flying today. I'm hoping I might get a chance to chat with Phil about July Airshow, so do stick around. It's a bit of a fingers crossed because he's down the other end of the airfield there. It's part of the FCC keeping an eye on the flying, but Phil manages there, and hopefully a bit more about what we can expect from the late July airshow, the airshow proper, this being a flying display of another one. I think it's just one more of these on the 3rd of July prior to the big show here at Duxford in July, which is looking fantastic. Red Arrows, Typhoon, and yeah, I think the key takeaway message on that show is become an IWM member to make sure you get first dibs on a ticket, because I suspect it's going to be selling out quite quickly. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope Andy's getting a nice shot of the Mark 1 coming in now. It's been a Andrew says very nice in my ear, so well done, Andy. These two guys, neither having covered an air show for, in Andy's case, since late 2019. Andrew, this is his first time working with us. So if you've enjoyed the show, do make sure to give a thumbs up to Andrew in the chat over on Facebook or YouTube, and give it a like as well. Make sure other people can find it, tune in, find us, subscribe to us, and tune in for future live broadcasts here at Duxford and other air shows through the summer. If you've really enjoyed it and you want to support Planes TV and what we do head over to watch.planestv.com. There you can subscribe to our on-demand service, giving access to the last 30 years of, well, not all of them. I'm gradually bringing all of them to that service, all our old programmes from air shows of yesteryear, some wonderful action from the 90s, lots of obviously aircraft that we don't see flying anymore. So watch.planestv.com for that. There's a link in the description to start a 7-day free trial there. And if you've forgotten to get your father a present, there is the offer this weekend to purchase a gift subscription to the on-demand service, and if you purchase it prior to this evening, you'll also be able to choose a free DVD to give to your old man. So what better way of giving him a bit of aviation entertainment and supporting Planes TV as well, and doing what we're doing. As I say, these are free live shows, grateful for everyone's support. Hope you've enjoyed the show. We missed out on a few items, largely due to low cloud. We were down at about 500 feet cloud base for much of the day, and just a little bit too low for some of the formation elements that we were hoping to get today. But lovely to see the Spitfires taking to the skies. That was a maybe earlier on. And I hope you've enjoyed. Can you still see the Spit? He's taxied home all the way up to the other corner of the airfield. He's still got him. Good. Oh, he's gone off. Okay. I talked about earlier, I gave you the option of a Takano in cockpit or a, what was it? Meteor NF11, and you quite rightly chose the Meteor, but the Takano in cockpit from 2011, 10 years ago, was shot here at Duxford. I think that might be quite a fun little video. Actually, Andrew, how have you done on the highlight sequence? Replays? Okay. So he's got a few replay clips from the flying today, but this is part of our the reason for being here really. It's gradually iterating with a small team and developing the programme that you guys get to enjoy at home. So, all right, Andrew, if you reckon you've got a few clips there that count as a replay sequence, a bit of a highlights sequence, let's take a look at those there. Some of the best bits from today. Take it away. And 1954. Being out. One of its regular routes was over the Navy base at Scarpa Flow. Also a 303 Polish squadron from Norfolk during the Battle of Britain. Franciszek fought for the Czech, Polish, and big well done to Andrew there, our first ever vaguely decent replay sequence. He was juggling a few balls. I was watching him. He was juggling a few balls to get that out to you, so I hope you've enjoyed it. Walking behind me just there is a young man by the name of Phil Hood that I'm hoping might join me in a minute. 5 minutes for a bit of a debrief, it looks like, so I can do a bit more stalling, and that much promised Takano in cockpit to come, recorded here 10 years ago. Obviously an aircraft we no longer see, but a really nice aerobatic sequence over Duxford, which we'll play for you in a moment. Just a reminder that if you have enjoyed the show and you'd like to perhaps watch future ones, or indeed hear about special offers we may have, or some other special access things that we have for on-demand subscribers, not giving too much away, do sign up for the email newsletter. The easiest way of doing that is clicking the link in the description. It'll take you through to sign up to the newsletter. It's something I send personally, and you can reply to it. So it's a nice way of starting a bit of a two-way conversation. I'm not too salesy. Hopefully people will tell you in the chat. I'm not trying to shift stuff all the time as I am doing now. It's really just to keep you informed on the stuff we're doing, both free and not free. Yeah, that's a great way of keeping in touch anyway, and I really appreciate the emails I get back from those newsletters. Do try to reply to all of those that come through. Don't always manage it during busy periods, but it's a really nice way of just keeping in touch with like-minded aviation folk. Let's take a look at a Takano in-cockpit sequence recorded here at Duxford in 2011. This is from, I think, our British Airshows programme that year, so it's a shorter in-cockpit sequence, but hopefully an entertaining viewing. So for all of those that you voted for it earlier, here's the Takano flown by Dan Hayes here at Duxford in 2011. see people enjoying the model aviation as well. I'm just looking at the chat and someone noting that there's no audio on that in cockpit. That's a proper curveball to throw at Andrew, wasn't it? I hadn't noticed there was no audio on that. Contacts. So stick around. I'm hoping that Phil's going to join us to talk about the July Air Show. He did ask to come on, so I'm hoping he's going to suddenly appear, but there's only so much stalling I can do, and I dare say you've all got better things to do than watch me fret about whether Phil's going to join us or not. He would like to talk about the July Air Show, so obviously with the dates being pushed back on the reopening of everything, it's got a little bit closer for comfort on the show, but I think all's looking good and we're excited about what we're going to see at the July Air Show. I certainly am expecting to be here doing a live show. What are we expecting to see there? So it's all the things I'd like to talk about are a bit too up in the air, and I don't want to be told off for saying the wrong thing, so I'm going to keep stum, I think. So a very good way of keeping in touch with what we're doing here on YouTube and on Facebook is, of course, to subscribe. So do give this video a like, of course, but subscribe as well. I know very many of the viewers on YouTube are not subscribers. You can see from the stats. That's a good way of just keeping tabs on when we're going to go live and when we release new videos. So yep, there's a subscribe button somewhere on the page you're looking at or the phone you're looking at, and do punch that to make sure you keep up to date with future broadcasts and future videos. No sign of Phil. Email newsletter in the description below, and of course buy your old man a subscription to Plains TV. Gift subscriptions available at plainstv.com. there is a link in the description to that. There's one last thing I wanted to say. Well, it's another big thank you to IWM, of course, for letting us come and stream the show, hopefully supporting each other through a pretty sketchy patch. Very excited about future shows, as I say. The flying days are free to access, free to come along as a IWM member. You have to sign up, I believe. I am a member, but I actually haven't been through that process. They do tell me that not all members are allowed to bring outside broadcast trailers, but I've pushed my luck. IWM membership is a really good way of getting access to the site, of course, but also the events with free access available to flying days. And I think the tale we need to tell really is that members are going to have first dibs on tickets for the July show. I think that is a sort of key takeaway. Oh, Ryan's here. He's tweeting at me on Twitter. Where are you? He said they'd run out of burgers and blamed me. I was celebrating being in a queue at a burger van at an air show yesterday. Apparently he went to find one and they'd run out today, which is astonishing. And a bit of a shame. I shouldn't have eaten the 7 I did. What more can I tell you? The on-demand service, I'm gradually bringing the 2011 programmes to it, but I've also recently taken ownership. I mentioned earlier that Adrian, my father, who started this business and would normally be here providing camera work, isn't, because he's moving out of home. He's also moving out of office, which means Ian's now taken ownership of all of his old tapes. So I now have the full collection of his 1990s material, which we've gradually been making our way through. Really, over years, it's taken. Been very hard to find the time to go through them. You have to do it all in real time. There's a bit of a process to go through on tidying up to then be able to bring it in best possible quality to subscribers on watch.plainstv.com. But we are edging ever closer to having a really good system set up for that. And I now have all the tapes, including the original tapes that he was shooting on. You're talking about a little box that big for 90 minutes worth of material, and he's got hundreds of them. So yeah, I've got a nice new wall of boxes in my office. Still no sign of Phil. I think we'll have another look at the highlights of today's flying display. Hopefully Andrew, I'm quite enjoying throwing these curveballs his way, but he seems to be surviving really well. And do give him a thumbs up in the chat if you've enjoyed his work today. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from today's flying display.
1954. One of its regular routes was over the Navy base at Scapa Flow. Also a 303 Polish squadron from Northolt during the Battle of Britain. František fought with the Czech, Polish,
And some excellent stalling there from Andrew's highlight sequence from the day. He's done really well with that. And joining me now, and if Andrew can lift up Phil's microphone, is Phil Hood from IWM. How are we looking, Andrew? Curveball successfully caught. Looking good. And this is Phil. Hello, Phil. Thank you.
Hi. How are you doing?
What have you been up to today? You disappeared off the end of the
I've been
airfield
here, there, and everywhere. So I've just qualified as a new Tier 1 FDD. So I've been working with the FDD team, and I've been out on the FCC. So I've actually been sat on the threshold of the runway today, learning a little bit and getting a feel for, the distances of where the aircraft can and can't be. So.
And all went okay today?
All went okay. Obviously the weather hasn't really helped. The cloud base is just a little bit too low for some of what we wanted to do, so within the safety limits that we've got.
But we've managed a nice
We've
flying
managed
display.
it, and hopefully everyone's had a nice day out. It's always good to get a Spitfire in the air, especially at Duxford, and especially on Father's Day. And that's why we were so keen to do this one. My father was a huge influence on me getting into aviation, so thanks to him, and happy Father's Day, Dad. I'll get that plug in quick.
Well done.
And we really hope that everyone else has had a great day out, because I certainly have, so I hope everyone has.
Yeah, I'm blaming my dad for my current situation of still
they
with Joe's as
they're,
well.
They're definitely to blame for
I'm
it.
afraid so, yeah. But I have I've gone on about it at length, but I've got a Father's Day offer, so if anyone hasn't already signed up for that, bought a gift certificate for their dad for my on-demand service, go do it now. Phil, I've trailed this as a bit of an update on July Air Show.
Yes.
That's where we're all sort of focused now, is looking toward that date, and everything's all getting a little bit close for comfort, isn't it? But we're expecting a good show.
We are expecting a good show, so some more information is going to be released early next week. So IWM members, you'll receive an email within the next week telling you how you can get your tickets, and also explaining some changes to the site. And then everybody else that isn't an IWM member, you'll be able to get tickets the week afterwards. So not long now, and thanks to everyone for their patience in waiting. It is going to look a bit different. We've got the COVID restrictions. We've been working non-stop with Public Health Cambridge, Public Health England, and we've got a plan. It does look and feel a little bit different. It's not a normal Duxford Air Show, but you're still going to be able to have a great day out. There's going to be some great entertainment on the ground. You're going to have some great flying. So I think it's already out in the public, and if not, then here's an exclusive. But we've got obviously the Red Arrows coming along both days. We've got the Typhoon. We've got hopefully the Swiss F-18, if we can just work out a couple more logistics there. And then some of the Duxford favourites as well will be out too. So it's going to be a really nice show. It is going to be different, but as I say, watch this space. Next week we'll release some more information, and tickets available for members from next week.
Yeah, that's the key takeaway, isn't it? It's going to be a show in much demand. First really, really big event, and Typhoon, Red Arrows, and fingers crossed, F-18. That is going to be a corker. So, thank you. I think if there's any more you need to add, then do it now.
Only to say that there'll be a small delay on the September tickets, just so that we can see what's changing. So stand by, September will be on sale after the July air show. But July air show tickets next week, and thanks to yourselves for coming down today.
All right, thank you, Phil. Thank you so much
Cheers.
for taking the time. Busy man, and a busy day for him and for all of us. Thank you everyone for tuning in to this live broadcast of the Flying Display, the Flying Days here at Duxford. Oh, we've got Tom Turner now. You're all right. You don't need to. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and hopefully some nice updates there from Phil. I think I might have mistakenly given the no, I think Typhoon and Reds was public knowledge, wasn't it? I hope so. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you again at Flying Days in a couple of weeks' time, so do subscribe to the newsletter, obviously like the Facebook page, subscribe on YouTube for updates on when we're going live. Right, job done I think. Time to head back to Devon. Cheers everyone, see you next time. Bye bye.